Hey, this is Tate Chamberlain with I Am Interchange. Doing a follow-up interview with Lori Shaw. We're in Billings, Montana at Moab Coffee. And hey, Lori, how's it going?
Pretty good.
What did you think of the Coal Town event?
It was very interesting. It was unlike anything I've ever participated in. I think when I walked into the room and saw so many people that I either don't know or that I do know really strongly disagree with what I do, I got pretty nervous. But once things got going, I kind of settled in, and it was actually not too bad.
The future of Colstrip, you're running for city council now, right?
Yeah, I am.
Tell me about that.
I decided I want to find a way to serve my community even more, and so I thought running for city council would be a really great way to do that, to get more involved. I guess a hand in helping decide how the future is going to go for Colstrip. There's going to be some really tough decisions that need to get made when Units 1 and 2 shut down. Funding is going to go down for the things that everybody is used to.
What kind of things are you thinking about?
The price of water is going to go up. The tax base, our tax funds to use for city project, that's going to go down. And we're going to have to decide how to budget what we have.
Yeah.
And those are going to be some tough calls. Maybe I'm not going to be able to please everyone, but I don't think anybody that's ever been on a city council is able to please 100% of the people in their city. But I will try, and I am willing to get my hands dirty and get in there and see what I can do.
I saw this video that you posted about the diversification plan. What kind of industries are you kind of brainstorming?
Gosh, that diversification strategy that was released by Southeastern Montana Development Corporation, or we call them SEMDC, it's got so many ideas ranging from the most obvious to kind of abstract.
What's the most far out thing?
We had a few people suggest we start a trophy game farm, just because there are a lot of big trophy animals that naturally live there anyway.
Yeah. So charge a bunch of money for like a lodge and then...
Yeah, I mean, people from out of state pay thousands upon thousands of dollars to come and hunt places that are literally like almost farmed.
Yeah, okay.
And the region is well suited for game animals.
Don't tell PETA that.
Yeah, I don't know if that one will ever happen anyway, but it was one of the more far out ones. It was suggested. We've had people suggest a Christmas tree farm.
Okay.
We've had people, I even suggested a raspberry farm.
Oh, awesome, yeah.
Because they do grow there naturally.
So agriculture and...
Yeah, which is difficult because we're kind of bordering on desert out there, but there are things that can grow there. We welcome anyone to come to Colstrip anytime. I'd be happy to get anyone a tour. But the best time to come is in the spring or summer, because then you can kind of really check out the way the land looks, the way the town looks when it's more hustle and bustle in the summertime. And there's so many more events going on in the summer, too, that you can check out, so...
Cool.
Yeah.
Who's your biggest critic?
Yeah, a lot of the really outspoken, and the way I see it, more radical environmental groups think that we are just delaying the inevitable, or whatever.
Are you?
We strongly disagree with that.
How so? I mean, where do you see selling coal?
I think selling coal to countries who really want it overseas.
It's like China and Japan.
Yeah, there are a lot of countries who want Montana coal specifically from the Powder River Basin because it has much lower sulfur content than the coal they will just continue to buy otherwise from places like India.
Yeah.
So being able to sell our coal means jobs for us and lower sulfur emissions for them. It's a win-win.
Is burning coal healthy?
I don't know. I think it is healthy in some ways, being that it makes possible a lot of things for people, like air conditioning, heating, things like that. Not having those kind of things is unhealthy. The benefits of cheap electricity, in my opinion, outweigh the risks of what it takes to produce it.
Yeah.
Also because the technology involved in producing that cheap electricity from coal is constantly evolving. It's come a really long way in the last 50 years, and it's going to keep marching forward if we keep advocating for it.
What's your beef with renewables?
I don't actually have a beef with renewables at all. I do really stand by the fact that they are not capable of baseload generation right now.
So you think they're overreaching right now?
I just think that they're too unreliable to satisfy the needs of huge populations right now.
Because it's not always sunny and it's not always windy.
No,
and batteries.
And we don't have the storage capacity yet.
Right.
But that's what we do. We change our technology, we move forward, we innovate. But innovation costs money.
Right.
If your state has no money to work with, what can you do?
So what happens to Colstrip when storage gets solved?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it.
Could happen at any moment, right? That breakthrough.
It could, but like I said, that's just something that you have to work with when you cross that bridge, because if you sit there waiting for it to happen, years can go by and people can suffer. One thing we do encourage folks to do is to check out our economic diversification strategy, because in that strategy are goals that Colstrip wants to reach in order to better prepare our community for a future where maybe coal isn't something we can depend on as much. So will it be necessary as soon as some people claim? We don't know. It's time to start now in trying. Every economy that is based on one or two things should diversify. It's a healthy, wise thing to do, and so it can't hurt to at least talk about it and look at it.
What percentage is coal to the economy of Colstrip?
The biggest thing is that there are so many small businesses in town that depend on the people who specifically are there to work in the coal jobs, either at the coal mine or the coal plant. If those workers go away, lots of small businesses like the one I started would collapse. Yeah.
And like the hotel,
restaurants, you name it. Yeah, that'd be very hard to keep going. Most of your customer base has to leave town looking for work. And Colstrip has gone through some heavy transition in the past. Back when the railroad first came through, the trains were running on coal. And that's why the mine in Colstrip was first started, to help fuel those trains. When those trains changed fuel, when they changed fuel, they had to move away from coal, and the mine was shut down. But that's when coal-fired electric generation came on the scene, the mine started back up. But in that time, they didn't know what they were going to do. But a change had to be made, and it was made, even though it was still coal-based. We have gone through changes before. The people there are very resilient, and I do believe they will rise to the challenge to make the goals in our economic diversification strategy happen.
Are people moving away? Speculate on the future, or are they sticking to it?
In that situation that are going to do that, but it's actually surprised me how many of the residents in Colstrip are digging in their heels, saying we're going to do everything we can to stay here. Community. We're not just going to run at the first sight of, I don't know, trouble. So it is really interesting to me. There have been a few that have left. It's hard to know whether it's because of the way things are looking right now for the plants or because they're ready to retire.
What are the demographics like? Are the miners, is it lean kind of to the older demographic, or is there a pretty young
That's a good question. Actually, maybe when I was younger, the demographics in Colstrip, it was all older people. But just this last 10 years, I would say there is a surprising amount of young couples. There are lots of baby strollers going down the sidewalks again. There are young couples, there's a golf team. I mean, there's all kinds of really cool stuff going on because there's lots of young people.
And they're working at the mines?
Mine and power plant, the school is another employer. But it is changing, and I am seeing a lot more young people here just recently.
What's one thing you would change as a city councilwoman?
Oh, God, that's really tough to say right now. Me, I guess, being an activist, I always advocate for trying to get people more involved vocally. Either standing up for the industries that keep our town alive, or just in general. Too many people want to sit on the sidelines and just really, they kind of expect other people to fight their battles for them, but I live more by the philosophy of if not me, then who? No one is going to step up and fight your battles for you. And so that's really one of my biggest things. I try to get really anyone that will listen to start actually advocating for their own issues. Take one idea in the diversification strategy is to create a senior living almost like oasis in Colstrip, to create a place where seniors can come to kind of there's a lot of people who like to live in very small towns because of the privacy, the peacefulness, the safety. Colstrip's ranked as one of the safest towns in Montana. So we feel that would actually be a really appealing place if we turned it into something like that for older people to come and retire and live out the rest of their days.
If you like our podcast, don't forget to support our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/IamInterchange. This episode was produced by Chris Griffin, Tyson Lunn, and me, Tate Chamberlain. Do you have an issue that's riddled by gridlock in your community? Contact us at iaminterchange.org. That's iaminterchange.org.